Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Read the show notes. There are a bunch of starred bullets in the show notes. Two, three, four, five, six. Do I have six now? One, two, three, four, five, six starred bullets in the show notes. The last one being the newest, and it talks about um, the new hub that they created for Whatnot Seller meetups. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. It's been a week since I've been here with you on my walk and talk. I took last week off. Well, I did walk on Tuesday with you guys, and then Thursday I took off for Christmas. And so it's been a week. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. If you're new to me, read the show notes. I'm Dana, aka Draz, and my husband and I do shows in the fabric, sewing, quilting, crafting arenas. Welcome in. Hey, Congo, how are you? Deborah Bach is here. Amy Stowe is here. He Zenberg, Crown Me Sewing. Welcome in. So, how's it going? Is everybody ready for a new year? So, last time that I went live a week ago, I asked everybody in a poll question what are some of the things they're planning on doing different, if they're going to do anything different next year. What are some of the things you're going to try to do different next year? So if anyone wants to share that again, that didn't share last time, what are some things you're going to do different in the coming year, if anything? And I shared that we're just going to be evaluating and probably adding some different types of shows. We are moving away from one of the types of shows that we did frequently and focusing more on some others. So, I think it's really important to always assess what's going well, what's not going well, and then take opportunities. It doesn't have to be a new year, obviously, but take opportunities to reassess, reevaluate what's working, what's not working, and mix it up. Try new things, um, and see if you can find a better way of doing things, maybe a better category, a new niche, whatever you need to do. So, welcome in. And yeah, read the show notes. Make sure you have a screenshot of all the information in there, especially those starred bullets that are just a resource for you to have to remember where you can go on Whatnot to get help for certain things. Coming up on the 7th of January, Whatnot Seller account will have a show where they talk about any updates to the app. And sometimes they'll share things that are coming up. Mostly they talk about updates that have already occurred or are going to occur within the next couple of days. And if you miss those shows, they do post the videos from most of those shows on the YouTube account, which is the second star bullet in the show notes. The first star bullet is the Whatnot Seller account. So make sure you go check both of those things out. And yeah, the YouTube account has a lot of past videos, past shows from that Whatnot Seller account that are either interviews, update shows, tutorials for new sellers, just all kinds of really good content if you're new, or just good content even if you're a seasoned seller, to help you get new ideas, learn about new updates that you can use to improve your business. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. How's everyone today? Welcome in Yarn Dogs, My Funny Farm, Ashley, MRSB, Sapphire Stitchery, That Green Room, Kiandra, Seven Abiba, and Clumsy Crutch, and Congo. I already welcomed you. Thanks for being here. You need to run something by me. Is it a public thing you can run by, or do you need to message me? So go for it. If it's something you can share, go for it. If not, message me and I'll get back to you. See, Bechtold, welcome in. All right, so, and welcome, by the way. Andy Kins. So everybody share in chat things that you're thinking about doing new, if you care to share. If I did trading cards for quilting fabric yarn community only, I've actually had that same thought. And my thought was the amount that I would have to put into it to get all the amount of time, effort, printing, all of that I would have to put into it. And then I don't know if you would be able to get permission, copyright permission on, I don't know if you would have to get it to share like brands, logos, names of designers, names of fabric lines. If you would have to get all the permissions and everything, I don't know that the time and effort put into it would be worth it. So yeah, that was kind of my hesitation in doing it. I love the idea. I think it would be so much fun. But there again, like I said, I just didn't, when I thought it through, I just was like, wow, that's a lot of work. And would I be able to, oh, thank you for your purchase. Would I be able to justify how much I would have to charge? And would I make any money on it? Would it be just kind of a fun thing? Would there be enough support? I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of where I ended with it. Maybe if a couple of people worked on it together and it didn't take too much time. So yeah. So that was kind of where I went with it. But yeah, I love the idea of yeah, exactly. You can't let someone control my image. Yeah, I know. Because I mean, after all, right? So I get that. But if you had one of your partners that you already work with, maybe, you know, he wants to design it. Yeah, that's the thing, is giving any kind of control. Yeah, so I don't know. It's a thought I've had too, and when I thought the whole process through and thought about how much, things you would have to do in the end, other than being an epic, awesome thing for for the fabric world, would it end up being enough, for the time and effort? I don't know. So, let me know your thoughts. But yep, I had that same idea, and maybe you're going to go for it and be a billionaire and I'll miss out. But I just couldn't decide. So, but yeah, I think it would be so much fun. Welcome in. Oh, thank you for your purchase. How is everyone today? What you got going on? And tell me, please, what kind of things you are wanting to do differently in the new year to change things up, to help your business grow, to, do things differently, try some new. What things are you willing to try? Um, to maybe mix things up and do things differently. That's probably a better question. What kind of things are you wanting to do differently? So I've got to go through my buy it now. I was just noticing something someone purchased and I hope I have one. Did one of you just buy an air freshener? Because I saw that pop up and you did. I may not have one. I've been trying to go through all my buy it now stuff and make sure I have everything in there, but I have a bunch of things. Island Breeze. Let me look and see what that was. Oh, those little car air freshener wafers. Ooh, I hope I have one. If I don't, um, do you want me to substitute something or just cancel? Because I may or may not have one. Because I thought I had taken that out. Okay. Yeah, if I can't find any, and even if I do find one, I know I don't have a big selection of different scents. So yeah. But yeah, if you see something in there that's similar that you would like to have that's the same kind of price or even a dollar more, I'm happy to substitute something, but it has to be something that I can mail in an envelope because those get mailed in an envelope if you only buy one thing. So, yeah. But thank you. And sorry about that. I just was like, oh, I think I don't have any more of those. And I thought I had removed them from my inventory, and apparently you got in there again. My inventory has been so funky. Did anyone have issues? So the other day I was live doing a show and I went to get something out of my inventory on the web version. How about the pocket folders? Let me look at the size of that. I might be able to do that one. But I think that one has to go in a package because it's too big for an envelope. Let's see. The things that I have in there that can go in envelopes are the little sentiment sticker packs, the Barbie stickers. I can do the enamel dots in an envelope. I can do, yeah, the sentiment stickers, the Barbie stickers, obviously. The pocket ones they are like 6x6 plus some extra. I don't think I can get those in an envelope that can go first class. So the dots, okay, yeah, I'll send you the enamel dots. Those are nice. Okay, awesome. Thanks for that. And I did remove one other thing that I was skeptical about. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, that's one thing I've been struggling with lately. So admissions, admitting my weakness. I have a hard time going through my inventory and keeping it all organized and making sure I have and going through my listings. I'm struggling with that lately. So, yeah, interesting. So, anyway, goals. What do you guys want to do different? Is anyone going to share? Nobody wants to share because it's all proprietary and they're afraid someone will steal their idea. Yeah. I was sharing just some kind of in general. I want to do different types of shows at different times. We're moving away from some of the craft type stuff that we were doing, um, figuring out what we're going to do with some of our inventory. Um, and an interesting thing that I've noticed trending, and maybe I don't hang out in some types of shows at all, so I don't know the trends in certain areas, but I have noticed people are starting to move away from selling, um, in certain categories, higher dollar items because they just aren't getting, um, bid up enough. People are tending to come on the app for, the fast buy, the low price, and I'm kind of concerned about that. So Whatnot did announce that they were beta testing doing the regular style auction where you can post something and have it be available to bid on for a certain period of time, and then when it ends the highest bid wins. But they've never released that, and I was hoping that would come out so that you could have an auction that you would feature in your shows for people to bid on, but then they just bid until, the date ends, so kind of like a bay style auction, but they haven't ever released that, so I don't know where that's at. Um, so I'm interested of that. So my start price is always the minimum I'm willing to accept. Yeah. Um, and if you can do well with that, my concern is that there's enough sellers doing the low start that it makes it hard for everybody else who can't get a big enough audience to do a low start. And that, I would say, that's true across almost all categories. But I think if you do things your own way, mix it up and do it in a way that you have your group that just love to come to your shows, period, that you can still do really well. I just don't know, if you can have, and it maybe you still grow, you just don't grow at a pace that's as fast, if that makes sense. So you're fine keeping my fabrics for forever. Yeah. So, it just depends on, your goals. And, if you can have a slower growth, and I'm in a pretty good position where I can, but not everybody is, you know, not everybody has the time to put into it, especially if they're still working a full-time job. And then they're trying to make this something that grows fast enough that they can quit the full-time job, or at least have it be enough that it justifies the time they put in. So yeah. Yeah, you keep your day job. Well, you're lucky because you have one of those day jobs that you can kind of be split, right? If that makes sense, you can kind of spend time in both places. So not everybody has that luxury. I made more in Whatnot this year than 2 years at my day job. Yeah. But you're right, it does give you a lot of security because if, Whatnot falls apart or goes down for 2 weeks, you still have income. And so there's a lot of people who are trying to make this full-time income. It's my full-time income right now. I don't want another day job. So, you know, you have to do what you have to do. So, good morning, Kat Daniels Den. How are you? So, yeah, you just have to make choices, make it work. And, um, part of the way that I have to look at it so that I don't get, um, because when you look at it from an accounting standpoint, a lot of times I'm like, this makes no sense. But What does make sense is I get to work from home. I don't have to drive to a job. I don't have to work for somebody else and deal with the boss crap. I don't have to, do all those other things that come with having to work, for someone else. And I get to play with fabric. And that I love that. And so in those ways, it's like, okay, it's a trade-off, right? So you decide, what it is, so if you're really passionate about what you're selling, I think that's the key. If you're on here selling and you're not passionate about what you're selling and it's not going as well as you would have liked, that's going to be tough because then you're like, I'm spending too much time and effort into something I'm not really passionate about. So I feel like the really successful sellers are very passionate about the products that they're selling. So you can walk away if you get pissed. Yeah, see? So, and not everybody has that luxury, you know. So it just depends on what position you're in to be able to do things. Yeah. So it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off for sure. So no one's sharing. So is everybody in chat like not a seller or not selling yet? Or tell me what your stance is. Where are you at in this process? So I know Like It Swipe, it's been a seller for a while. And who else did I see? Um, Time to Sew has been selling, right? What You Making? I'm just looking through the audience here. So tell me if you're like super new and you've just been either haven't been selling or so you're on the fence about restarting. So when did you quit selling? Like when did you start? How long did you sell? And then you quit. And then now you're kind of like, do I start? Do I not? And why did you quit? So, it just all depends on a lot of factors. But really honestly, that factor of being passionate about what you sell. So a handful of shows over a year ago. Okay, and what category vintages looks like you were selling in vintage. Um, yeah, it's that one's a category that has become pretty competitive because you've got a couple of really big sellers in that category, and it's hard to make an in. It's hard to make an in. So it just depends. Let's see. Hey, Jean's Eye. Can you talk about how you handle it when you witness people talking BS in other people's shows? Like BS about you? Or just total crap about the app? So, well, yeah. I don't know that I've had that happen. Like, I haven't been in someone else's show and had anyone diss me to my knowledge. So, if they have, my nose wasn't itching, or maybe it was and I didn't know why. Let's see, witnessed a ton of things over the past few days. You know what? If they're talking about you, then be flattered because that obviously means, well, we all know that obviously means you're somebody now, right? You've arrived because you're now a name that's being talked about in the shows. And, I mean, obviously check yourself if you know what I mean. If there's something that is, you feel like someone's got some truth about something you've done that shouldn't be happening, but otherwise move on, because it's not worth It's kind of not worth your time. I know that's hard because you're like, wait a minute, excuse me. But, people will be people, and people get very petty and jealous when someone else is being successful. And if they can't deal, it's not worth, your effort to even think about it, because if as long as it's not anything that does need to change. That's kind of my attitude about it, because it means you've arrived, and they don't like it, they're jealous, they're petty. I don't know. I've kind of been absent for about a week, so I honestly haven't been in many shows. So if anything was going on, I don't know about it. So I kind of like to stay out of the gutters. Take the high road is my advice. Take the high road. Don't let it, start itching your britches. Just move on. But if you feel like it's damaging and people are saying untruths, I don't know how it could possibly damage you, honestly. I mean, people know, people that come to your shows, people who know you. I don't think it's going to affect anything. Um, Private message me if you think there's something specific, you know. But yeah. Amber says wanting to start upcycling clothing, not sure how to get the audience there. I am on Etsy and eBay and also do craft shows. I also have a full-time job. So Amber, there are people doing that successfully here. The key is you kind of have to get a niche, and I think a lot of the people that are doing it successfully, it's kind of like selling yourself, but also selling what you're showing and making sure it's on trend. So go watch some of the other people that are doing it successfully on other platforms. There's a couple of ladies on Facebook that do huge social media presence with like the upcycled flannel t-shirt, sweatshirt, and they advertise it all week and then do a live show and sell out every time. So if you can get to where you can do that, but you're selling it through the Whatnot platform, but I think they built it by doing it on social media, because it's hard to get an audience on here just by going live here because you haven't prepped an audience on social media. So, and I think the ones that I've seen anyway, have built it up by doing Facebook and Instagram and sharing the things they make and then going live there. So, I think you have to really build an audience somewhere and then do your fulfillment, which I think Whatnot is a perfect place for the fulfillment. But you've got to bring an audience because the audience isn't already here necessarily for that. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I would say that's true. If you get into any kind of libel or slander, it has to be pretty, something that you feel like is truly affecting your bottom line. And I can't imagine, like I said, message me if you feel like that's the case, but I can't imagine someone feeling, being able to say or do anything that would ultimately be that severe for you, because you're a good person. You guys do legit business. And I don't see how, you know, and there's always going to be some bad eggs that just get their panties in a wad because they can't be successful or feel like what they can do is ever going to amount to anything. And so they take the low road and try to start dissing other people. And I always felt like for the longest time, the fabric crafting communities were above that, but we've grown enough that obviously we're going to get some of those in. So sad. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Because if you in your own realm know that you haven't done anything, I mean, always check yourself because if people are talking smack, make sure there's no truth. Make sure there's no truth. I don't know. If there's something, that you have done shady or inadvertently did or something like that, check yourself. Don't be above making sure that you make corrective actions if there's something. um oh, no worries, no worries. I do think it's important to always, if you are getting some negative feedback, make sure there isn't something that went down that you need to fix. But if it's just some petty, jealous person, it's not even worth your time. There, our fabric community's grown enough now that we are going to get some bad eggs, sadly. You know, we've gone this far without a whole lot of drama. And the drama is going to come with the growth. It just happens, you know. So if people take someone else's opinion of me without me knowing, asking me or experiencing, they could stay away. I don't like sheep. Yeah, I'm with you. Let me tell you a little story. So I was in high school. This is me, and it's still me today. Just a little bit more refined. So I was in high school. It was the summer before my senior year. So between junior and senior year, I was on the yearbook staff in high school. And I went to a yearbook camp where they took our yearbook staff to a college campus, and we went to a week long. Um, we stayed on campus in the dorms. It was like, woohoo. And we went to classes about yearbooking. So it was a lot of fun. And they had really strict rules at the dorms just to keep everybody safe. And apparently, unbeknownst to me, a couple of summers before, a girl um, had a little tryst during this yearbook camp and gotten pregnant on their watch, and they weren't happy about that. And her parents had, I don't know if her parents sued them or something. I don't know. Anyway, so they had these really strict rules about certain time of night. The people who ran the camp would send people out to make sure everybody was in their dorms and going to bed and no one was hanging out or getting out or whatever. And I was sitting on the steps of the dorm talking to a friend of mine who was a student at the college. And yes, it was a guy. So, and the lady who was they had these people who were assigned to, and remember, this was a different day and a different time, but still. So I was sitting on the steps talking to this guy that was a friend of mine, and the lady who was the student counselor assigned to the dorms, who, I don't know, she was paid to be there for the summer to watch the kids, was sitting there watching me, and I wrapped it up. And unbeknownst to me, the people who went to do the bed checks picked ours first, and they had come a little bit early through a different door. Anyway, they went to my dorm room, and I wasn't there. And so I got yanked in the next morning to this. You've got to come report, and they literally were going to send me home. That's how, strict about it they were, or whatever. And they expected they expected me to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," blah. And I just looked at him. I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. Send me home." Because I was like, I didn't do anything. I She was sitting there watching me. You happened to pick mine first. You were early. I was headed up, whatever. I'm like, whatever, bite me. I didn't do anything wrong. And they were very taken aback because I wasn't all apologetic and all, oh, I'm so sorry, and bawling and don't tell my mom, all that kind of crap, right? And so that's just how I am. If I know I'm not doing anything, and you don't like me, that's your problem, not mine. That's kind of how I've always kind of been. Only, like I said, I'm a little bit more refined about it. So let me tell you what I did, which now I probably retrospect at this age, of course, wouldn't have done. But so a few days later, a few nights later, because I think this was the very first night or second night we were there. Oh, and the other thing that was hilarious is my yearbook advisor, they were also required to be on site at night at a certain time to make sure everybody, all the kids they were with, she had left and gone to get drinks with a friend. They couldn't find her. And so she had to lie and say she was asleep. So, haha. Anyway, so I had to cover for her too and say something because she came. She's like, I wasn't there. Um, I just told them I was asleep. So if they ask, I'm like, okay, yeah. Anyway, so 2 nights later, the girl that I was roommating with and I staged the room, turned the lights down. There was, I think, a lamp in the room. You mind you, this is a little dorm room with two twin beds and little closets and desks. So so we staged the room and made it look like she was in bed with a guy making out because we put pillow. I mean, it looked legit. And she was totally going through the moves. And we had everybody watching, pass down the road, down the halls. Okay, they're coming, so we knew exactly where we would be there. And then me and one of the other girls that were in that same dorm room were hiding in the little closets so we could witness the whole thing. Notice that I got my friend to do it instead of me. I was too chicken. So well, I think it was because we decided if I was the one doing it, they definitely would probably send me home. Anyway, so she's in the bed. Oh, and we had my bed made up to make it look like I was in the bed. So we had all the pillows from like multiple dorm rooms in there. And anyway, so she's totally going at it with the pillows. And they walk in and they literally, their mouths drop. It takes them probably about a full minute, I kid you not, to figure out that it wasn't, she was just doing the pillows, if you know what I mean. So, and we were in the closet trying not to lose our biscuits, because it was just so hilarious. And so when they did figure out it was fake and they realized what room it was, they were like, okay, you got us. And anyway, I'm sure I'm famous from then on for every yearbook camp, but I think it helped them to realize a little bit like, okay, chill. This girl wasn't doing anything wrong. So, yeah, it was absolutely hilarious. So, yeah, that was how I got back at them. That was my idea because I was like, you know what, people chill out. So, I know in my bad days, in my good old rebellious days, I'm so freaking goody two shoes, you guys. That's like the most colored thing I can probably think of from my past. So I've never partied. Well, I was raised Mormon, so I'm faith, I'm very much part of my faith, very religious. Um, yeah, I squeak when I walk. So that's about as colorful as it gets from my past. So yeah. Anyway, now you know. So Yep, it was pretty hilarious. So yeah, that's kind of been my attitude. You don't like me, that's your problem. But always, do check yourself, because if you have, if you feel like there is some legitimacy to what anybody's saying, fix it, own it, take the high road and make it right. So I don't know what's going on. Message me. And if you feel like you need to talk, or you can call me, I'm happy to chat. So, all right. Now that you know my colored past, I've I've revealed it all. No, scandalous, I know, right? So let me think. I'm trying to think, is there any more scandalous in my past? Um, yeah, not really. I mean, let's see. One time when I was a freshman in college, my roommates and I, and one of our guy friends dressed up like, um he dressed up like a pimp, and we just dressed all like, I wouldn't say we looked like prostitutes or anything, because it was more like gangsta. And so we were all like decked out. We had on fancy dresses and makeup and hair, and we took pictures. It was fun. This was pre cell phone, and we took legit film pictures that we had developed. And I had them in my album. When I came home one time, my sister and my mom were looking at them, and they were like, "Wow, that's interesting." My mom's reaction was kind of like, I don't know, it was just one of those late night weekends where we were like, let's do something fun. And so we just got all dressed up, and it was kind of like what kids nowadays do. My daughter, that's 19, her and her friends do that all the time. They get all dressed up, and they go to parks and go to different places and do these photo shoots. And I'm like, I don't get this. But, you know, technology makes it so that they can do that. And then they do all this fancy editing and post them and share them. And it's just funny. So we had to do it the old fashioned way. And we had to decide who was going to pay for the film processing. And, everybody had to pay for copies if you wanted any of the pictures. It's kind of funny. So let's see, you're very self aware. I stand behind all my bitchiness when it's deserved. Well, see, yeah, you know, as long as you own whatever you do, that's what matters. Yeah, I think it's, if you're a slimy person, everybody knows that you're slimy. And because it comes out, it has a way of working out. So if you're not a slimy person and people are slandering you, it's not legit, and everybody else knows it's not legit, and everybody else knows they're just being petty and jealous and trying to, it's kind of, it goes all the way back to the young years. It's like, if you can't lift yourself up by being good, getting better, putting in the work, people try to lift themselves above someone else by putting everybody else down. And it never works out in the end. It all comes out in the wash. People figure it out. Yeah, you do not like slime. Same, you know? So people just get petty and jealous, and they can't be happy with their own small successes and put in the work. And so they try to put other people down to get ahead of the game. And, it'll 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 people know. So people know. Yeah, exactly. They should be learning things from you, not trying to put you down. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. So, yep. So, and I mean, if they legitimately, yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. So, using my story, what can you do to make them even more jealous? You know what I mean? But in a good way. It's kind of like kill them with kindness kind of idea, right? What can you do? You know, I mean, you don't force people to come to your shows. You don't force people to buy from you. In fact, my witness would be that sometimes you force people to stop bidding because they're being silly. It's like, good grief, people, chill, you know? Yeah, there you go. Invite them to spotlight. Do it. Do it. I dare you. Yeah, you know? I know I'm like, do it. Invite them to co-host. No, people will have their issues, and they'll be gone. They'll be gone eventually if if it's another seller, they'll be gone because I always tell people in my shows, if you come on here with the intent to be slimy or to scam people or to, just be an overall jerk, you're not going to last. This platform is so much social media and connections and making connections that people will find you out so fast and you'll be gone. So I tell people that are coming in as sellers, I'm like, if you're new and this is kind of how you are and what you are, don't even try. It's not worth the time. Honestly, it's not worth the time. Go somewhere else where, it's going to, people will not find out your scamminess as quickly. Hey, Cheryl's Crafty World, one of the nicest people on the planet. How are you today? I was loving your posts. You're so adorable. Hope you're having a great day. So, yeah, I mean, and we have an amazing, amazing fabric community. I mean, some of the nicest people. I just feel I get the tingles thinking about amazing friends I've made that, oh, it's Bob's birthday. Aw, happy birthday, Bob. That's awesome. Hope you guys get to do something super fun today. So yeah, you know, but oh yeah, well, it took her 3 years to get banned because it took her finally falling apart and not being able to, fulfill orders. But up until that point, as long as she kept her nose mostly clean, that's the thing, her scamminess came out when she got to the point where she couldn't keep on top of everything. She got too popular, too whatever, and she didn't have a base to hold her up. She hadn't really built. It's kind of like the idea of you've got to have a foundation. You've got to have a foundation or everything you build comes crumbling down, and she didn't have a foundation, you know? And that was the beauty of when she arrived and whatnot. They didn't, I mean, even though they sort of screened people back then, they don't screen anybody now. Her previous, I guess, I didn't know anything about her until after she all came falling down. And I could only stand to be in her shows for 3 seconds, if at all, because of her screechiness. But, yeah, they were willing to risk it, let's put it that way, to kind of help build the app. And I mean, she made him a lot of money. So, yep. But that's just it. If you don't build a foundation that's a solid, reputation, and you have a rep from before, not everybody knows that rep from before, but it's going to fall down at some point. And I would much rather, I mean, if I'm a scammer, I'd much rather have it fall fast than have it 3 years later. I can't imagine what a train wreck her life is. I tell people to mute my show, but stick around for the phrase. So, and you just can't, there's so little control about what other people do, and we just don't have as much drama. I mean, that's one of the amazing things about the fabric community. And if you're here listening and you're not part of the fabric community, come join us for a while and see what I mean. But for the most part, people are just so sweet and so nice and so kind. I mean, to the point sometimes where I'm like, if someone else bids, you do know you can bid against them. It's okay. You don't have to be that nice, right? Because I'll have sometimes where I'm like, it's super obvious that if someone bids first, someone else, other people aren't going to bid on it because they want that other person to get it. I'm like, hello, this is an auction. I do need to make money. We're a little bit too nice sometimes. So, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, yeah. And yeah, you just have to kind of go, okay, deep breath. What do you want to give any of your time to? And sometimes there's things that just are not worth giving any more thought or time to because then they win, if that makes sense. Because if it gets under your skin too much, they've won and got done the damage they wanted to do, you know. So I had one complain that I didn't rerun a bolt that the yard sold for $3. I'm like, and then she put that complaint in her review. Oh, yeah. I had someone complain because I said I was going to save something for a different show. Same thing, kind of thing. I'm like, if something runs for really low and I choose not to run it again, that's my prerogative. You know, George tells me it will all average out. Yes. See, and Bert is the kind of the same way. He's always like, you got to look at the big picture. You can't focus on that one thing. But that's how women are. We're very, we're into the little nitty bitty ditty gritty details and we overthink everything. That's why it's nice to have a spouse to work with you that has a different perspective because then they can talk you off that cliff when you're like ready to go claw somebody's eyes out, right? Green 13 taught me love the product or the profit. Yes. Yes. Right. So, yeah. And it's hard too sometimes with fabric because I mean, I think it's super important to be passionate about what you sell. But sometimes I'm like, if I really love a piece of fabric and someone doesn't bid it up for what I think it's worth, it pisses me off sometimes because I'll be like, I should have just kept that, and I have to get my head out of that because it's like, no, if you were willing to put it up for sale, you're willing to put it up for whatever you started it at, too bad. So, yeah. So, let's see, we were dark for 20 years, just went into the light for whatnot. I'm this close to going dark again. Easier on the heart. Oh, okay. Now you do have to message me. That makes me sad. So I know it's hard when you put your heart and so much hard work into something and then you have people be petty. I know it's hard. It is hard. Um, when I was, let me tell you another story. So this was This is an on-app story. So I had been, let's see, I started selling end of 2022. And so I had been on the app for less than a year. And I was part of that initial group in Fabric, and there were really not a ton of us selling at that time. And so I was going to, I mean, anyone that came on and started selling anything fabric, craft, quilts, sewing. I mean, I was in everybody's shows networking and telling him, welcome, so glad you're here, all that good stuff. And we actually had people in Whatnot that represented our category. I don't know if you guys know that, but we had Whatnot employees who were our specific category people. And they helped grow the category, did specific things. They actually featured giveaways and gave us stuff that we could, or not stuff, but they gave us money that we could use to do giveaways and stuff. Can't remember how they did it now. I have to think about it. It's been too long. Anyway, so I went into a lady show. There was a lady who came on new as a new seller, and she was selling crafting and sewing items along with some other stuff they were selling in other shows. But I went into one of her shows where she was selling craft stuff, and I welcomed her. I'm like, welcome to Whatnot, welcome to the sewing crafting community, blah, blah, blah. And I started to, tell her about some other people and some of the things that were going on. And she said, how dare you? She verbally said this. How dare you come into my show and promote yourself? And then she blocked me. I was like, whoa. I know. I was like, whoa. And I was in no way like, you know, I was just like doing community, you know, telling him, saying, welcome, thanks, excited to have you. Tell us about, blah, 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 and introduce myself, that kind of stuff. So I was like, wow. Yeah. And she was new. She was new. She blocked me. So then I used my husband's account and I messaged her and apologized and said I wasn't trying to do it. And she blasted back at me and then blocked him too. But she blasted back at me and said, you know what you did was wrong. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, whoa. So yeah. Anyway, so I felt horrible. And I was like, for a week, I was like, I mean, it even made me cry. I was like, what and Bert was like, oh my gosh, move on. And sure enough, they didn't last. They're gone. They've been gone for 2 years, because that was their attitude. That doesn't last, right? All right, let's see. Am I coming to ASD Week in Vegas? I saw Whatnot does a big thing, so we are going. I would love to. I don't know if I can make it happen. Um, it's close enough for us to drive, but I babysit my granddaughter a couple of times a week, and it's just hard for me to work everything around trying to get, you know, them taken care of and shows and so I don't know. My life's kind of complicated right now. So with that, I have just had to report and block someone on Whatnot, and then she messaged me on Facebook, and I blocked her before I could screenshot the chat. It's in March. Okay, so message me the info, and I'll see if I can make it happen. So, like, literally just now, you had to do that? So yesterday is when it blew up. Oh, yesterday. Okay. So we're still talking the same incident. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. So you'll have to message me the dirty details because I'm out of the loop. Yeah. It must be full moon. Yeah. I don't know. People get kind of crazy. Um, I think at the end of the year, if they've not had a good year, or people have crap going on in their lives over the holidays. Holidays are hard for a lot of people. Um, and so I always give people a little bit of grace. My son is a nurse and he works the psych detox. What is the other word? Chemical dependency unit. And the holidays are nuts for that unit because people, all the crap going on in your life, it kind of comes all crashing down during the holidays because that's the time when people are supposedly supposed to be enjoying time with family, catching up with family, doing all the family things. And if your family is a train wreck, it's tough. It's tough. March 17 through 19. Okay. Let me take a screenshot of that and I'll look it up and see if we can make it happen because I would love to come. It would be so fun. We need to do more stuff like that, but free registration in advance. Oh, cool. Let's see. I was following that art contest train yesterday with Deadly, so I guess I missed a lot of crap in our category. Yeah, I must have too. Like I said, I've just really been kind of absent in a lot of shows because I've just been doing holidays with my family, have a lot of things going on, and I just really haven't been in a lot of people's shows. Oh, maybe that's why they declined your first one. Yeah, possibly, yeah. But I know there's another one that someone else beat you to the punch on, right? Someone else scheduled one in when is that one coming up? I forgot the date. So I'll probably wait a while to do. We had one in February here. Yeah, you know what? I don't go on Discord either. It gives me a migraine. I don't know, just that whole like the way they do Discord and just trying to figure out what all the different things are and all the different chats. I'm like, it seriously gives me a migraine. It's very confusing. I'm like, am I missing something? Or am I just stupid? Because I go in there and I'm like, what is this jumbled mess of random thoughts that make no sense and you can't figure out what's connected with what? I avoid Discord. I also avoid Reddit because I'm just like, it starts to give me feel like maybe there's something wrong with my brain. Seriously. I'm like, do I just not get this? Am I stupid? Because it's so like this jumbled, all these random comments that don't seem to make sense with anything else. So, like I've been online since MIRC. I don't know what that means in the 80s, and I cannot figure out Discord. Yeah, same, same. I mean, I'm really weird for my age because I I like technology just enough that I've always been kind of at the forefront of, well, computer technology. Um, so I had my husband and I built our very first PC home computer in 1988. I think that sounds right. 1988. Um, we bought all the components and built it, and we were one of the very first customers that AOL had. And when I called them to cancel my AOL account, the lady was like, "You can't cancel. You're one of our very first customers." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't use it anymore." So, yeah. So I'm weird for my age because most people my age and Bert's age did not easily adopt and learn how to use computers and software and all of that stuff. So I'm kind of weird that way. And I actually learned how to program and build websites. Don't ask me to do it today. I would rather go to the dentist. But my daughter had to take a programming class and she was showing me her stuff. And I'm like, "Yeah, I used to do that. I know how to do that." She's like, "You did?" She looked at me like, "That is not possible. You're too old." So, yeah. Yeah. Do you remember DOS? I used to know how to go into DOS, and because, the old computers, you actually had to start all your programs through DOS. Yeah, I know that ages me, right? And to this day, I will tell you that I preferred Word Perfect to the old Word Perfect. Was so amazing. The things that you could do on Word Perfect were like amazing, amazing. And then Word came along and kind of ruined it all. So, yeah, it was kind of a lot of work though, because you had to do all these different things to make it work, but you could do amazing things on Word Perfect. So, yeah, the backslashes and the forward slashes and all that stuff. Yep. All right, I feel bad for anyone in here who actually needs help. We're having all these side conversations. Does anyone in chat need help with anything? Bring back the 80s? Well, for sure, bring back the 80s music, right? I mean, here's the funny thing, our kids listen to 70s, 80s, and 90s music more or almost more than they listen to anything produced since then. So, I mean, you guys know Bert loves music. He's always singing. So, yes, this is technically a help show. So, if you have questions, ask away. Ask away. I'm trying to think if there was anything I was share. Oh, make sure you have the show on the Whatnot Seller account bookmarked for January 7th because they are going to talk about some updates. Um, I am hoping they're going to finally release the AI. I've been using it for months and helping them get it improved. Does anyone else have access to it? It rocks. It rocks. They need to release a shortened pick list. Pick list. Okay, tell me more. What do you mean pick list? Pick list. Shortened pick list. Oh, a short packing list. A shortened packing list. No description, only item name and quantity. Oh, so that when you go to do your orders, you're not having to, yeah, I agree. It's a lot. Um, if you try to expand it, it has so much information, and you're like, I just need to know what they bought, please. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You spend an hour a day just making it up on a CSV file every single show. Oh, yeah, that's too much work. So the people who hire people to do their shipping, um, and they do big shows like, you know, where they're having to fulfill hundreds and hundreds of orders. Do you think they're doing something similar, or do they just they're paying someone else to do it, so they just get to go through and slog through, huh? How do you best set up shipping? I have not done a show because I don't want to do it wrong. I have a little fabric, but I'm a fabricaholic, so yeah, labels can get expensive. So do you know how to do this? You do have to do a little bit of extra work, but I print multiple pages onto a single label, a little bit smaller. That's one way you can help do that. So Medici, I hope I said that right. So I have a couple of things you can look at, but honestly, with fabric, um, if you're doing regular quilting fabric, not fleece, not flannel, not bulky stuff, if you're doing regular quilting cottons, the best shipping setting is to offer the buyer pays max 921 and do flat rate, flat rate. And then, you know, if someone buys more than you can cram into a large flat rate box, then you know, unbundle it and do it in two boxes or one bigger box. But that's the best way for fabric. But let me show you. Um, so read this document, take a screenshot of the one I just pinned. So I just pinned one, just tap the picture of that, tap it again, bring it up, take a screenshot of that one. And it kind of walks you through, okay, if this, do this, if this, do this. And then go watch my video on YouTube. So my YouTube channel is in the show notes, Draz on Whatnot. And there's a YouTube video in my live shows called Don't Sink Your Shipping. And it kind of walks you through and shows you all the different boxes, all the different options. And then take a screenshot of also this, because if you're a visual person, this helps you to see the different types of packages that you can use for the different types of labels so you don't get them confused and screw things up. So take a screenshot of that one that I just pinned. So yeah, that'll kind of help you. What is the Whatnot support channel? The Whatnot support channel. Their YouTube channel? Is that what you're talking about? Whatnot support channel. Are you looking at one of my show note bullets? So you're new to Whatnot just a couple of weeks. Oh, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Oh, that you said they do announcements. You said they will give out New Year info. Oh, that's the Whatnot seller account. So the very first start bullet in my show notes, Whatnot sellers. So if you go, you've been there, right? So it's just the account that's titled at Whatnot seller. Oh, whoops, I typed the ampersand in there. Whatnot sellers. Here we go. So it's this account, the official Whatnot seller account where they do shows. And so they have a show scheduled on the 7th where they're going to introduce new product updates and new update recap. So yeah, they'll give out info on any updates they've done or are going to do rollout. So that are imminent. Yeah. So like the one of the ones that I'm hoping they'll finally release is AI. And AI is where when you're putting a listing in, you pick the category, take the pictures, and you click a button and it generates the listing for you. It rocks. It was pretty crappy when they first started doing it. It's taking them a while to perfect it. Um, but you'll be able to list things a lot faster because it's pretty good. With fabric, it's sometimes it does weird things and you have to edit it, but it just saves you a ton of time because it puts a title and a description in there, and then you just have to tweak it, by putting the size or the maybe you have to fix because it said something weird about the brand or something. So if you're doing fabric, you take a picture of the fabric with the selvage, and then it's going to know the brand and everything, and then you just have to say quantity or whatever. So it rocks. It rocks. So it wouldn't let me put it in chat. Okay, wait, let me get back to my chat here. Yes, I agree. That does put a lot on the packing slip. So that's where I was talking about how you can put in your settings when you go to print, you can print multiple pages on one slip. And honestly, if I have a repeat customer, I print the first page of their packing slip that has the number of items they purchased and the shipping label. I don't print the entire packing slip anymore because I feel like the importance of the packing slip is that there's something in the package that has their name and address on it and the number of items they purchased. If someone complains, I'll print them a packing slip. But that's what I do. And then on new customers, I print the entire packing slip, but I print it on one or two labels by putting multiple pages per label. It's in your printer settings when you go to print. So if you need me to show you that, I can. So yeah. Right. And in order to remain premier, you have to have quality listings. So you have to have a certain length in your description and title. I get that. And it makes it hard on the back end when you're trying to print packing slips or you're trying to look through your orders, because when you expand an order, it puts all that info on the screen. Yeah. They don't have an exact word count though, do they? Like it just has to have a full title, and then is there a specific word count that you have to have in your description? They won't tell you the parameters. I'll ask. Because it seems like it shouldn't have to be more than at least a full line of text in the description. Interesting. Yeah, I'll ask. I mean, look at it from this perspective. They're providing the platform and they want to sell as much as possible, right? So they want people to be comfortable buying something based on a description, especially stuff you put in the buy it now, right? Because someone's got to be able to go in the buy it now and have enough information in there that they feel comfortable buying it without you showing it and describing it. So if you don't have enough information in a listing for them to comfortably want to buy it without, you showing it, it's not a good enough listing because they look at it and they're like, well, I don't know size, I don't know, you know, all of the content or all of the, so you've got to have enough information that someone's going to be willing to buy it without you having to show it. Yeah, it does print condition too. If that's a required field on the item. Yeah. And you do have to have condition for it to be considered a quality listing. Yeah. So if it's a category that requires a condition to be a quality listing, you've got to have that filled out. So, yeah, and I know that has been requested to make the font smaller, do something to make it so that there's not so much information coming out on the packing slip because the people don't, I mean, if they freaking bought it, they don't need to know on the packing slip that it was, new and the full line, right? I agree with you. So if they could make it different. I do know a lot of people are setting up paper printers um, in their packing area and they're printing the packing slip separately on paper versus on your labels. But in my opinion, that just ends up being more work. Um, so yeah, I don't know the easy fix for that. Yeah, item name, quantity, that's it. Yeah. I make it like a checkbox list. Yeah. Yeah. So I just do, like I said, I have my printer set up so that I can, because you can drop down when you're on the print menu, you can choose the number of the pages you want to print. And then I make it print multiple pages onto one page. Yeah, you do have to, it does print it too small. But I'm like, hey, it printed. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and if you buy your labels in a huge quantity, you can get them really cheap. Another possibility, so here's another one. You can actually buy the thermal labels on a big roll instead of in the fan fold. You can buy them on these big, huge rolls, and you can get them a lot cheaper per label buying them that way, but you have to figure out a setup where it will roll off. And we jerry rigged something. Um, I do too prefer kind of the fan fold, but we jerry rigged a thing that made it so the rolls worked too. And I picked up some rolls of labels on liquidation at a business going out of business, and that saved me a butt ton of money. But we ran out of those, so I'm back to the fan folds. So, because I'm not going to pay, I didn't want to pay for the rolls again. But yeah, yeah, it's like a big 50-pound roll. Yep. So, do I know anything about new people not having the reduced shipping option right now? That is correct information. And when we asked, they did not tell us definitively if that's going to change and what the criteria is for them to no longer, like what parameter, like is it going to be the 1,000 sales before they get that? They couldn't tell me. So right now, as of right now, new sellers cannot offer reduced shipping. So they are restricted to just the basic settings. And so actually that person I was just telling to set it for 921, it's not even going to let you do that um, for now. And they wouldn't give us a definitive answer about when that's going to change. I think they made a decision, a business decision. This is just me pulling this out of my butt, but they made a business decision that in order to try and mitigate the scammers, who were coming on and just trying to sell a bunch of crap and never fulfill it and getting the cheapest shipping rate, they took reduced shipping away. for new sellers. So they're trying to figure that out. So um, a big portion of that new capital money they raised is going to trust and safety. They're hiring trust and safety people. They're really starting to ratchet down on trust and safety because they've gotten burnt. They've been burned. We've had some really scammy big sellers come on, do crappy things, and then they had to return everybody's money or whatever. And so they're really, really, really ratcheting down on that kind of stuff. And they're doing a lot of preventative things to try and prevent those people from coming on in the first place. So, yeah. Get whatever label printer comes with a return policy. Yeah. Honestly, just look at the reviews. And so pick one on Amazon that has tons of reviews and has a really good review. And yeah, I agree. Get one that has a return policy because inevitably, even if it's like the greatest printer on the planet, the way things are manufactured right now, you can get a printer that has literally comes to you not working because they just manufacture them so fast and the quality control sometimes is meh. So yeah, get one with a return policy and get one that has really good reviews and that it says in there that the customer service is good and will work with you if it doesn't work when you get it. So, and honestly, if you buy it through Amazon Prime and it's not working, you're going to be able to return it. So, yeah. You got the Walmart label one, it's been good. The brand that I bought is VEVOR, and we've been using it without any issues for 2.5 years. So, and it takes the generic fanfold labels. The thing I would advise against is getting one of the ones that has a proprietary brand of labels that you have to use in order for it to work. Okay, I'm sorry, but that brand name is sus. No. Some of the brand names, you're like, where did they come up with this? It's like it's a Chinese brand, right? And they just make up words. Yes, you have tons of Dymo from your previous business. Yes, and those don't buy Dymo because you have to buy the Dymo labels, right? So, so VEVOR is the one that I have. You sold an iron called Omega. That's funny. No, I mean, I want to be the person that has to sit there and name everything. It's kind of like the weather people that have to come up with a list of names they're going to name all the hurricanes and tornadoes and storms. Can I have that job and be paid millions? Sign me up. It's like they just have this big list that they rotate through. It's hilarious. All right. So yeah, anything else anyone needs help with, just look through my auction tab. If there's questions about anything, they are asking us to talk about shipping again this month. So let me see on my schedule. The 7th. So this show on the 7th, we're going to be talking about shipping. I think I'm going to kind of do something different this time with that show because normally I get out all the boxes and kind of do the primary kindergarten, basics shipping show and teach new people what the boxes are and how the post office works and all that stuff. And I don't know if I want to do that again. So I might talk about tips and tricks that have, just, what has worked for you as sellers. What tips and tricks can you share with chat that are going to help somebody avoid a lot of the headaches of shipping? That's kind of what I was thinking of maybe doing. Um, but yeah, that reduced shipping being taken away for new sellers, that's kind of a big deal. And that's going to hurt. That's going to make it hard for new sellers to not be able to do reduced shipping from, coming out of the gate. Because, I mean, it's okay if you're not someone that wants to, hit the ground running. But if you were hoping to hit the ground running, that's going to be hard. It is going to make it hard, not going to lie, because that's one of the big ways that you can, really entice people to your shows is to offer reduced shipping. So, not going to lie, that's going to make it kind of tough. So, um, you're just going to have to do your best. Do other things to make it so that you can stand out. Red Baron Records, welcome in. I love your logo with Snoopy. That's cute. Just don't get too big and use that logo. You'll get copyright infringement. How's yeah, let me I'm gonna ask again about things they can maybe do to make those, make it so we can print things shorter. Because I that really bothers me too, because I mean, that's a lot of money, labels, for cost of labels and paper and toner, and depending on how you're printing it. So, how do I ship the 12 by 12 scrapbook paper pads? I use the medium side load box, flat rate box. So medium flat rate box is the side load, because um you can fit them in there. Watch how Kristen Swain does it when she does paper. She literally just sets up a bunch of medium side loads, um, and she just puts the paper right in there, and you can just send it that way. And you do need to put it in. So get some plastic bags that will fit the 12 by 12 paper, and then yeah, you just slide it right in that box, and it does kind of go. If they buy too much, you're going to have to unbundle it, but and put it in separate boxes. But yeah, that works. It works. Otherwise, I wouldn't sell it. The other thing I do too is I don't sell individual sheets of paper, because if someone just buys a little bit of paper, how are you going to safely ship it without it getting all bent the heck up? So I sell it in 1 pound. I put it together in a pound and make them buy a pound of paper. Otherwise, it's too hard to sell it, because you can't really safely ship individual sheets of paper without it getting all bent up. So you have to make them pay, for the flat rate shipping, and sell them a pound. And then if they buy 3 or 4 pounds, great, it'll still fit. You're welcome. I know Bert always teases me. He's like, you help everybody, tell them what to do, tell them how to do it, and then you get all these people being successful. And I'm like, you know what? This is the honest truth. If you put in the work and you learn how this app works and you become successful, and I was a part of that, hallelujah. I want everybody to be successful. Why not? Why not? Why can't everybody that wants to put in the work be a success on this app? It's a lot of work. I work really hard. And so I tell people, if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to learn what you need to learn to make it happen, who am I to hold anybody back? Yeah, exactly. You'll never be wrong being a good person. I want everybody to be successful, you know, but I want them to do, I mean, obviously, okay, I should say, caveat to that. I do want everyone to be successful, but I want them to be honest and do it the right way. And that's why I also always say, if you're here as a scammer and you're not a good person with good intentions, please consider going elsewhere because we don't want you. And that's the truth, and you will be found out. Sometimes it takes a while, but, they do eventually come crashing down. So it's not a good platform for scammers because especially now, I think they get found out pretty fast. So yeah. But otherwise, I mean, if you're willing to learn how to use the platform and you want to be successful, there's no reason that everybody can't have a piece of the pie and be successful. It's just, you have to put in the work, you have to learn how it works. Exactly. Even the people that hate me, I want them to succeed. Karma will do what she does, doesn't have to darken my heart. Exactly. Yeah. That needs to be on a t-shirt. I agree. Yep. Yep. So, I mean, honestly, what better feeling in the world is there than to have been part of someone being successful? I mean, I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just saying that feels so good to help someone else, build someone else up, help them be successful, and see, because this app changed my life and has made my life better. Don't I want everybody else to have that chance too? Heck yeah. If everybody is doing good, being good, doing well, it makes the whole community, the whole country, the whole world. I mean, you can take it out as far as you want. It makes everything better for everybody, right? You are one of the main people who helped me and taught me about whatnot. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I love that. I love that I can go into your show and know that I played a little part of helping you guys be successful. That's awesome. You know, it makes me feel great. And everybody just needs to lift everybody else up. And I mean, honestly, if I had billions of dollars, I would secretly, make an anonymous account and go buy everybody's stuff to help everybody grow and be successful. I wish I could do that. But I can't. I can't. I don't have the money to do that, but I would if I could. I really would. It would be so much fun to just go, spread the love, go into someone's show, do all the things I could do anonymously to help everybody else out. So, yeah, I would. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I do that to a certain extent too, like it, but I have to control myself because then I'm like, wait a minute, I've got to pay my bills too. So I already do that a lot, but not as much as I would love to. Not as much as I would love to. So yeah, your burner account has a real problem. She needs therapy. So does mine. I don't actually have a burner account. So real, if I come into your shows and buy something, it's me. So I don't try to hide. And I actually had someone diss me once. I was in someone's show and I bought some stuff and they said something about me being a seller and that's why I don't That's why I don't go buy from certain people or something like that. And I was like, whoa, I was thinking to myself, if I don't come and support other sellers, how does that make me look? It also, I mean, I'm like, I want to a certain extent. I mean, I get it if they feel like I'm taking advantage of somebody, but I was just in there buying and bidding like everybody else. So, yeah, the address is sent to a friend in a different state. Are you being silly? Let's see. I fell into buying beads last week. Boy, it happens quick there. They do bin shows, not auctions. I thought I spent 20 or more. Nope, spent over 100. Yeah, it does. Yeah, you have to be careful. So, did you guys know that you can actually, and I haven't looked up how you set this up, but you can actually go into your own account and put limits, dollar limits on your account. And then when it hits that limit, it shuts you off. You found it after. I've never tried to set it up. I sort of have good control most of the time. Some weeks are better than others. Um, Probably has to do with um, kind of the same way. Sometimes I don't eat a lot of chocolate, and sometimes I do. Kind of like that. I can't access that thing. Is it because I'm not a buyer? Yeah, I need to look it up. I need to look it up. So go Google, can you put limits on your buying and whatnot? And it'll take you to the article. I don't know if it tells you how to do it. But yeah, there is a way you can do that. So you can go in and put a dollar amount in your account. And once you hit that dollar amount, it won't let you buy anymore. Account controls. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that I don't really advertise that because I mean, as a seller, it's kind of hard to encourage people to put limits, right? But I mean, honestly, at a certain point, there's some times where I'm like, I literally want to message the person and say, will you please stop buying? Because they can't afford it. They shouldn't be buying more. They're just going to come on the app 3 months from now and have to try and sell it all, and they're not going to be able to make their money back. Right. So, yeah. So sometimes I'm like, yeah, yeah, you tell them I'll buy it back. Same, it's like, I guess I'll be coming in, and I've done that before, come in and bought some of it back. Um, but yeah, they're never going to make their money back, right? So 404 sales. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Let me check your profile here. Oh, I'm not following you. Let's get you followed. So truly materialistic is Wendy. And there's so many new sellers, you guys. That's the other thing. I'm having a hard time keeping up with who's new, who's not, who they are. So truly materialistic had a show. I will have a state finds new vintage yards, no powdered books, more over 100,000 yards, or no, not 100. Whoa, 10,000 yards in my stash, with much looking for new homes, bead weaving, card making. Wow, so you're gonna have some craft shows too, for sure. Very cool. And let's see, you've got a bunch scheduled out. Awesome. So you're doing that the right way. So everybody give Truly Materialistic a follow, and let's bookmark the show on the 9th, the 23rd, the 6th, the 20th. Yeah, and you can move those around. So like if you decide to have some more frequently, just move them around. But that's the right way to do it, definitely, to get a bunch of bookmarks, have them scheduled out. You add more shows in between. Yeah. So here's a little trick too, is the ones that you've got bookmarks on, you can just use that one, move it up and create a new one further down. And that way you have shows consistently that have bookmarks already on them instead of having to start from zero. So, like, you've got bookmarks on the ones that are already here. So just use those, move them up in time, and then create new ones that have zero, down at the bottom, further into the schedule. Does that make sense? So that'll help you with having more bookmarks the more on the more current shows. So so for example, you've got a show scheduled for the 9th, and then the next one scheduled is the 23rd. So if you want to have one in between those, just move the one for the 23rd, change the date to that, and then you can just continue to move shows up and add new ones down at the bottom that have zero, so that you're always using a show that has bookmarks already as the more current show. So yeah. Let's see. So Kat Daniels Den, I'm new to your show and fairly new to Whatnot. I started on October 3rd, here to learn. I don't sell fabric or sell women's fashion. Yeah, that's a tough category. You're going to need to find a niche. So you're going to probably want to find something that you specialize in, something that you're passionate about. And you'll find that eventually if that's the category you want to stick with. I will say, so plus size, that's a niche already. And if you're finding some success in that, stick with it. And let's see, you've got a show today. I love your thumbnail. Your thumbnail rocks, right? Look at those awesome thumbnails. And honestly, thumbnails, I'm not going to say they're everything because they aren't, but dang, they make a huge difference. If you've got a nice put together thumbnail that's got color, that's got style, that's not just a picture of your cat, you're way ahead of the game. So love it. Like it, swipe it. You rock thumbnails. I mean, we're all waiting with bated breath to see what your head is on the next show. Just saying. Okay. So yeah, thumbnails, huge. So your thumbnails are great. Love it. So very good. Very good. Yeah, so it looks like you're hitting the road running. You've got lots of shows scheduled. And yeah, you've got your niche already. So, and you've got a lot of bookmarks for a new seller. That looks really good to me. So, very good. So, Tanya, welcome to Whatnot. Let me think if I have any specific advice. About that category. So you're new enough. Are they not letting you do reduced shipping? Or did you get in before they restricted that? Let me look and see again. Because that's another thing. Oh, you've got it. So that's good. Okay, good. You got in before they cut that off. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, that's another thing. Because you have a lot of buyers now who will filter and only go to shows that can offer reduced shipping. So that kind of concerns me for new sellers to be able to get anywhere. So we'll see how that fleshes out. Hopefully they'll kind of get the trust and safety issues kind of figured out and then be able to offer that back. I mean, I think part of it was just they literally opened the floodgates with allowing sellers, because it was like before you at least had to get a little bit of vetted. They would make you prove your inventory, tell who you were, what you were. You had to take a little course, you had to show up for a little online video course, take a little test before you got approved to sell. And then, about a year and a half ago, they literally just opened the floodgates, and anybody and their dog's uncle could sign up and get approved to sell. There was really no vetting at all. And so with that came all the scammers. So now they're having to kind of ratchet things down. And I don't know that they're doing anything vetting or restricting. It's just that they're having to do a lot of stuff to deal with the fact that they let so many crazy sellers come in without any kind of vetting. I just started this week with dollar starts. Any advice? If you have the audience, go for it. If you don't, instead mix it in. So, and you know what? Here's the other thing. You just never know what your audience is going to be at any given time. And so if you have a show where you're doing dollar starts and it's just not happening, it's okay to cut it short. It's okay to um switch from what you were starting for a dollar and start doing your buy it now stuff instead. Or, you're in control, stay in control, have things in place so that if you have to switch it up, you can, because you just don't know who's going to show up. And you've got to have an audience big enough to do dollar starts. You just have to, or you're going to lose your shorts, right? So, and another strategy is, yes, weigh everything. Be careful about shipping, because you don't want to underweigh and overpay. Someone put that on a t-shirt, right? So you've got to know what things weigh, um, so that you don't get screwed with shipping. But anyway, just, if it's not happening, instead of doing a dollar start on everything, maybe every fifth item, or maybe you just do it's starting to go well, then you start putting in the dollar starts. Be in control and don't be afraid to be in control. You don't have to be rude. People get it, you know, but just be in control and make sure you have things in place, like enough stuff in your buy it now that you can switch to, that were set prices. Um, things that you can feature outside of that, take a break from the dollar starts for a little bit if it's not going well. Um, you know, just have things in place so that you can switch it up. And yeah, if you're new enough and want to do dollar starts, you can't afford to do the discount shipping unless you have a set business plan where you're willing to take a loss for a certain amount of time. It's kind of one or the other. So, and with clothing, depending on, what type of clothing you're selling, um, a couple of articles of clothing are going to fill a flat rate box. So you may have to strategically limit, the certain types of items you sell in any given show. Maybe when you run bulkier things like sweaters, jackets, jeans, those you do in a separate show. There's strategic things you can do to make sure you don't get screwed on shipping. So yeah. Let's see. Truly says, I found it is cheaper for me to send fabric in Tyvek or poly mailers instead of flat rate boxes. So you're doing let me think that through. Yeah, if you're selling in small enough quantities per customer, um, that's probably true. But how are you doing it on the back end if you're offering reduced shipping? Because let me think, because it has to be under 5 pounds to still get the 921 rate. You can't get over 4 pounds in the box. Um, are you mostly doing quilting cottons? So let me tell you another tip trick about large flat rate box. So if you take a flat rate box and you tape it on the bottom and then turn it upside down so it's sitting on your table, you take your fabric and you literally layer it on top of the box so that it's fitted right exactly to the dimensions of the box. And then when you get about to 7 inches or more, you can fit about 8 inch thick. And then you put it in the plastic bag and you suck the air out, and it's already fitted to the box. And you can usually fit a lot more than 4 pounds. Yeah. So, yeah, you just have to kind of fit it to the box. And you can do it pretty quickly because you just stack it on there. Um, that's one of the things we do. So, what are you talking about with the syncing info? I need it separate. Sync info. Or did I miss something there? Oh, you can have multiple accounts connected to your main account. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can have more. If you're shopping, if you have a separate shopping account from your buying account, is that kind of what you're getting at? But yeah, if someone buys a ton, what we've ended up doing usually is either putting it in two separate flat rate boxes, or we actually stack it narrow and put it in. We have these massively huge, super thick poly mailers. It's like the ply is so thick they don't rip. And oh, personal stuff or LLC. Yeah. Yeah, you can just keep it separate. Yeah, it's kind of a pain if you're using it on the same device to have to log out, log in, and keep them separate. But they do make it pretty easy. But yeah, you could keep one account live on one device and just remember which one you have on which. So yeah. I don't know. I kind of have just kind of kept everything together. I don't know. Do you guys think that's bad? Do you think people are turned off that I'm using my own account to buy and sell? I just am like, I don't care. I'm kind of transparent. I'm just like, whatever, you know? I just kind of like to do everything on one account. So, because the other thing too is if you're using separate accounts and separate bank accounts, and then some of it you would have to really every always go through the mind process of, okay, am I buying this for personal or business? Which account? I don't know. I just don't want the mind games. So I just have to keep it, on the back end. I know what stuff I bought for personal use versus business use. So you can't afford the personal fun stuff. Yeah, I don't do a ton right now, but yeah, you can. Where can I purchase bulk inventory to get started on fabric, quilting cotton? But I'm afraid I will like it all and keep it. um, Honestly, if you don't already have some that, or already, you already got like an estate or a storage locker or something where you already have an amount, it's kind of hard to get started um, with fabric because you kind of have to have a pretty decent stash, because it's going to be hard to source a big enough stash and know what you're buying and then be able to sell it. But yeah, My best source, here's what I tell people on sourcing. Your very best source starts with what is closest to you when you want to start selling. Because the big mistake you don't want to make is to go out and buy a bunch of crap, not knowing what you're doing, and then not being able to sell it. So, what's closest to you? What's in your house already? So, and why are you picking fabric? You know, if you don't already have a bunch of fabric, that concerns me, right? So, your best source is what you already have, and then your family, your neighbors, the people that are right close to you. You start there first, and then you start branching out. So, yeah. So that's what you love, but you're curious about it. Okay. So, because I mean, most people who sew and quilt already have a huge stash. I don't know if it's a good category to sell in, to start selling in if you don't already know a good amount about it, or at least have some of a stash. I'm not saying you can't, but it would, like I said, I would caution you on going and buying a bunch of fabric without knowing enough about it, because it might not be the right kind of fabric to sell. So, just like any other category, you need to know what you're doing and what you're picking up, so that you don't end up with a bunch of dead stock that you can't sell because nobody wants it. So you got to be really careful about that. Yeah. All right. Love you too. Have a great day, and message me if you need to chat more about what went down. So sorry that that happened. My best advice is kind of take deep breaths and let it go. Let it go. I do make quilts, but don't want to go overboard. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I would just say be careful, because you don't want to make that mistake of going out and buying a bunch of stuff that aren't going to sell. So, yeah. So be careful about that. Yeah, free stuff from that's the other thing. Always tell people what you do, because you'll be amazed at how much free stuff just comes out of the woodwork when you first start doing something like this, because they're like, "Oh, I was going to donate this anyway," or, "Oh, this has just been taking up shelf space or closet space in my house anyway." But yeah, be honest and tell them that you're not keeping it, you're just selling it, and you're not, you know, it's not a donation, right? I mean, it is, you're just going to sell it, but they're helping support your new endeavor. So, yeah, because that's just tell everybody what you're thinking about doing, what you're going to want to do. And usually, if it's family, friends, loved ones, they're going to want to help you, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, I have this box," or, "Oh, I have this bin," or, "Oh, I know somebody who's trying to get rid of this," or whatever. So always tell people what you're doing. They will give you weird looks. They'll be like, "You're doing what? Please explain." And then they'll give you even more weird looks like, "Okay, good luck," because they don't understand. So, um, but yeah, yeah, and there's, it's a mixed bag, because someone who has never sold fabric and just happens upon some because they bought a storage locker or something, they're going to probably still have a successful sale, not knowing anything about it. But the same hand, they're probably shooting themselves in the foot if they start them for low amounts and it's some collectible fabric, right? So, but it's okay. Honestly, sometimes those types of sellers, um, it's it doesn't matter, because they churn and burn. That's their business model: churn and burn, sell it all, They don't really care what it's worth. They just want it gone, right? As fast as possible, make money. And if, and as long as they're not too ridiculous about it, people will come and realize what a good deal is, and then it's going to get bid up anyway, right? So, yeah. And yeah, you do have to sometimes let some stuff go too cheap. But honestly, if it's something that is worth something, you don't have to do low bit starts. You can put it in your buy it now for a set price. You run it at this price that you're willing to sell it for. Think about it that way. It's like, this is a really nice piece of fabric. And if it doesn't sell for at least X, I'm keeping it. And then that's your starting price. Use that as your gauge. What am I willing to let this go for? Literally, be honest, and then it's got to be obviously a reasonable price. It can't be ridiculous, but, you know, so yeah. All right. I need to wrap things up here. I've been going too long. I'm chatty today. It's been nice to be back on the treadmill, back chatting with y'all. So yeah, make sure you have that Whatnot Seller show for the 7th bookmarked. Try and catch that. If you can't catch it, they do post the videos to the YouTube account that you can rewatch. Those are in the show notes. And thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you, Patty and Miss Barbara and Truly Materialistic. You have a fun name, by the way. And thanks everybody for being here. And hope you got something out of today. And next time I'll be a little bit more focused on what's in here to help new sellers if you guys need help. And we will see you on Thursday morning. I think it's New Year's Day, but I think I'm still going to go on Thursday. I have it on my schedule. I'm planning on it. So, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for those of you who bought a few little things, and appreciate you. And let me go see who we can raid into. Let's see. Let's see if we want to do, let me see if anyone's on doing a seller chat. If not, we'll just raid into a fabric show. So let's see if anyone I know. No. I mean, she does like chat and learn. I don't know if she actually teaches things or if she just does motivational. Trading cards. Yeah, that sounds sketchy. Okay, let's just go into one of our quilting shows. Let's go give Jessica a little love. She's got 4 people in her show. So you guys have a wonderful day. So running over to Jessica. Let's see. There we go. Bye for now. See you soon. Thank